Welcome, seekers of truth, hiding beneath the prettiest stories we were told as children. Tonight we're leaving the safe, polished world of animated princesses and walking into the cold corridors of medieval Europe. Behind the bright colors of Snow White lies something older, darker, and very real. A record of how beauty, jealousy, and power turned women into weapons against each other. Before we open these archives, become part of this investigation with me. Tap like as your silent oath you're ready to look this fairy tale in the eye without looking away. And tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? And what time is it right now? Are you alone in a dark room in Tokyo before dawn? On a noisy evening tram in London? Somewhere in Brazil? Scrolling past midnight when you should already be asleep? Your place in the world is part of the story, because what we're about to uncover isn't just about the past. It's about how beauty is still used to control people today. Snow White as a crime file. Tonight we're not talking about a Disney princess. We're talking about how a German folktale preserved memories of real practices in European courts between roughly 800 and 1850 CE. Beauty as currency. Rivals quietly erased. Mirrors used as tools of control. And care that killed more slowly than any sword. Snow White becomes less a fairy tale and more a coded case file. The poison apple, when gifts were executions. In medieval castles, enemies didn't always draw daggers. They offered fruit. Apples were perfect murder weapons, easy to hollow with tiny punctures, easy to refill with plant-based poisons, and symbolically safe because they were tied to harvest festivals and religious celebrations. A bite during a feast, a sudden illness days later, and no one dared accuse a queen or noblewoman of murder. Court records and medical notes from places like England and France describe noble women who fell ill right after receiving special treats, payments to herbalists and physicians for rare toxic plants, and poisons designed to look like natural disease, fever, weakness, slow decline. Sound familiar? A beautiful girl, a stepmother, a gift that looks innocent. The fairy tale turns all of that into one symbol, a red apple. In reality, it wasn't magic. It was chemistry, protocol, and cold calculation. The magic mirror, reflection as surveillance. Now, let's step into the queen's private chamber. The mirror in Snow White isn't just a talking toy. It's a memory of how reflective surfaces were weaponized. By the late Middle Ages, courts were investing in high-quality mirrors and polished metal that only the elite could afford. These weren't just for vanity. They were built into rooms, panels, and furniture so powerful women could watch others without being seen. Observing beauty routines, listening to conversations, tracking who is becoming too admired, too young, or too loved. On top of that, mirrors were used in rituals and scrying sessions, supposed fortune-telling that, in reality, worked like psychological interrogation. You bring a noblewoman in to see her fate, place her in front of a mirror, push her insecurities, and watch how she reacts. So when the tale shows us a queen asking, who is the fairest of them all? Behind that line is something very real, a system where reflective surfaces fed obsession, paranoia, and finally violence. The mirror doesn't just answer, it confirms a threat and gives the queen a reason to act. The physician's cabinet, beauty as a slow poison. The next room is even more disturbing, the physician's chamber. Medieval court doctors mixed cosmetics and medicine in the same vials. Women came asking for whiter skin, smoother faces, eternal youth, and got creams and powders laced with mercury, lead, and toxic plant extracts. These formulas often did exactly what they promised at first. The skin looked clearer, the cheeks looked brighter, word spread, and more women begged for the same treatment. But inside the body, the price was being paid. Organs quietly failing, nerves slowly damaged, immunity collapsing. Some queens and noble women are documented using these beauty cures on rivals, inviting them for masks, baths, lotions, and watching them weaken over months or years, all under the cover of care and treatment. In Snow White, the queen disguises herself as an old woman with a poisoned gift. History shows us another mask: physicians, healers, cosmetic experts, people whose tools could kill as efficiently as any blade, while everyone thanked them for their help. Huntsmen and dwarfs, forests and workshops as systems. The story sends Snow White into the forest, with a huntsman ordered to kill her. That isn't random. Medieval forests were perfect for making people disappear, thick cover, wild animals, and complicated forest laws that gave nobles control over what happened there. Hunting parties, accidents, criminal chases, these were convenient covers. If someone didn't return, the woods were blamed. You see that echo in the huntsman's dilemma. He's the professional killer who suddenly hesitates. And the dwarfs? They're more than comic relief. They live in the mountains. They work in mines and forges. They mirror medieval guilds, tight, secretive networks of craftsmen who sometimes protected people the courts wanted gone. Guild halls and workshops could act like safe houses, hidden rooms, new identities, and a life built on work, not beauty. So when Snow White finds refuge with the dwarfs, the fairy tale is hinting at a real survival strategy. Escape the court's beauty game and vanish into a different system where your worth is in your craft, not your face. The queens fall, and our reflection. In many versions of the story, the queen dies brutally, forced to dance in red-hot iron shoes, or crushed, or publicly shamed. That cruelty isn't just drama. It mirrors a historical shift. After centuries of quiet poisonings, mere spying, and accidents, courts in Europe began to prosecute some of their own. Old cases resurfaced. Property was confiscated. Families disgraced. The system that had allowed these women to destroy their rivals eventually turned on them. The hunter became the hunted. And that's the final warning hidden inside Snow White. When a whole culture turns beauty into a weapon, it doesn't just destroy the fairest one. It eats everyone, the victims, the perpetrators, and the world that made the game possible. Why this still matters. Now look up from medieval Europe and into your own mirror. Today, the poison apples are different. Filters, injections, impossible standards, endless comparison. The magic mirror is now your phone screen. Refreshing likes, comments, and views, telling you who is winning and who is fading. And the system still whispers the same message. If you want to survive, someone else has to lose. The real horror isn't the witch, or the apple, or the dwarfs. The real horror is how normal all of this can feel when you're inside it. So as you scroll past glossy faces and perfect lives after this video, remember what the archives behind Snow White are really saying. Any society that builds female worth on appearance will eventually turn competition into elimination. The only way out is to refuse the script, to treat beauty as shared, not scarce, to see other women as allies, not rivals, and to stop feeding the mirror with your self-worth. If you've watched this far, tell me in the comments. Do you think our current beauty culture is any less dangerous than the world that created Snow White? Why or why not? Until our next investigation, be careful what stories you swallow. Some of them were written to keep you sleeping.